Ram Ram Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Gaura Nitai Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo. Jai Harinam Sankirtana ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Vaishnavrinda ki Jai Lord Jagannath Rath Mahotsav ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurumilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kamayam Radati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Savijatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vachakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bharevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshadarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, welcome to our Bhagavad Gita discussion. So last week we discussed the story of And where this story was contained? Where did we read from? Srimad Bhagavatam. 6th canto, 1st chapter. So what did we remember? Anything we remembered about the story of Ajamil?
Ajamil was first, he was very bhakti, full bhakti and everything. Then after going to forest for some other work, he became turned to extreme stage. Then he realized at the deathbed, then he called his last son name. Yamaduda came and Vishnududa also came. Told how he, even though he has told his son name, how you can take like that. Yamaduda asked, but Vishnududa told, no, Narayana is not the name of his son. Narayana is the name of the God Supreme. It has been mentioned in the Veda. But his son name is Narayana, not mentioned anywhere. Even though he has called his son name, he has called Supreme only. So he has to be taken to the Vishnu Loka.
Very nice summary. And what is some of the morals or lessons we learned? Because all these stories are interesting, but they contain many lessons for us. So what are some of the lessons we heard?
So at the end of the story, when he said Narayana, the reason why Vishnu thus took him instead of the devils was he called out for Narayana with no motive of profit, like with no expectations, just out of pure love. So that was one, and the other thing is his past karma, basically his worship, that helped him, that probably helped him name his son as Narayana.
Yes. Okay, so
he realized that he should not do the mistake again in his life.
he remained determined not to do the mistake.
Apart from everything, whatever name we are giving to our son or children, that full name has to be called every time. If not short name, then no use of.
You cannot shorten the name. Right? So many things we discussed. They gave discussion about this elephant bath, real atonement. Real atonement means coming to the process of bhakti, because from bhakti, the heart may become purified. Purified of these different desires that lead us to sinful life. And just going through various rituals or sacrifices, they may purify us from sins, but they don't purify the heart, which then leads us to further sins. Just like the elephant who bathes very elaborately and then comes back and sprinkles dust. Right? So we have these many pictures, illustrations of this pastime. And we saw that our devotional life, there is no loss or diminution. Though Ajamil started in a very nice situation, he fell into a very degraded life, extreme, as Prabhu mentioned. Extreme degraded life. But due to his pious devotional service, he was able to recover from those extreme sinful activities. And what tool he used to recover, he even used indirectly. And that was the power of the holy names. And Vishnu Dutta is explained in the 2nd chapter of that canto, how powerful the holy names are. That even by chanting the names unintentionally, or even in a joking mood, or not even understanding that I am chanting the Lord's name as if chanting my son's name, still there is potency. And they gave the example as the doctor gives the pills to the patient. Whether the patient knows how it's working or why it's working, doesn't matter. The effect is there. So similarly, the holy names are so powerful that by chanting the holy names, one can become quickly absolved from so many past sinful reactions. So, this was several of the morals of the story. And we see in the very end, on the right-hand side, Ajamil attained perfection of life. So whatever we put into our spiritual bank account, it is ours eternally. Even if we temporarily deviate, that account remains fixed. Now, we learned also that we should not then take advantage of the powers of the holy name, saying, oh, I can perform so many sinful activities. It is a license to sin. Because the holy names are so powerful, they'll erase all my reactions. No. Knowingly committing sinful activities, one cannot be absolved from. So what we've done in the past, Krishna's more than willing to forgive. Because we did in ignorance. Didn't know. Now we have acquired knowledge. And so the story of Ajamil shows how one can, even on the verge of being taken to the hellish planets with extreme suffering, one can be saved by the power of the holy names. So not only say, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Sometimes we wonder, what is the point? It's such a simple process. Can it really yield such a strong, profound effect? So this one story shows how strong that by calling out Narayana once, unintentionally intending to call out his son, Ajamil was put back onto the path of righteousness and ultimately concluded his devotional service in Haridwar, in the temple, and went back home to God. So when we chant every day, we can remember how potent these names are. And if we read those early verses of the second chapter of 6th canto, it'll remind us why I'm chanting. Why this person keeps saying, are you chanting, are you chanting, are you chanting? This is why. Because it is our means. So, Krishna, now having explained how in devotional service there is no loss, there is no diminution. He said, whatever you're completed in devotional life, you can carry on forever. So one who has this knowledge, what do they do? And one who does not, what do they do? That Krishna is now going to explain in this 41st verse. Someone would like to read that verse?
Vyavasayatmika buddhir, ekeha kuru-nandana, bahu-sakha anantas, buddhayo vyavasayinam. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. Can I read?
Yeah.
A strong faith that by Krishna consciousness, one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called vyavasayatmika intelligence. The Chaitanya Charitamrita states, Shraddha sabde vishwasa kahe subdhrda nischaya Krishna bhakti kaile sarva karma kritahaya. Faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. When one is engaged in the duties of Krishna consciousness, he need not act in relationship to the material world with obligations to family traditions, humanity, or nationality. Fruitive activities are the engagements of one's reactions from past good or bad deeds. When one is awake in Krishna consciousness, he need no longer endeavor for good results in his activities. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, all activities are on the absolute plane, for they are no longer subject to dualities like good and bad. The highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is renunciation of the material conception of life. This state is automatically achieved by progressive Krishna consciousness. The resolute purpose of a person in Krishna consciousness is based on the knowledge. Vasudeva sarvam iti sa mahatma su durlabha. A person in Krishna consciousness is the rare good soul who knows perfectly that Vasudeva or Krishna is the root of all manifested causes. As by watering the root of a tree, one automatically distributes water to the leaves and branches. So by acting in Krishna consciousness, one can render the highest service to everyone, namely self, family, society, country, humanity, etc. If Krishna is satisfied by one's actions, then everyone will be satisfied. Service in Krishna consciousness is, however, best practiced under the able guidance of a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Krishna, who knows the nature of a student and who can guide him to act in Krishna consciousness. As such, to be well versed in Krishna consciousness, one has to act firmly and obey the representative of Krishna, and one should accept the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master as one's mission in life. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur instructed us in his famous prayers for the spiritual masters as follows. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya prasadanna gati kutopai dhyayanstu amstasya yasastri sandhyam vande gurum Sri Charanaravindam. By satisfaction of the spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of the Godhead becomes satisfied. And by not satisfying the spiritual master, there is no chance of being promoted to the plane of Krishna consciousness. I should therefore meditate and pray for his mercy 3 times a day and offer my respectful obeisances unto him, my spiritual master. The whole process, however, depends on perfect knowledge of the soul beyond the conception of the body, not theoretically but practically, when there is no longer a chance for sense gratification manifested in fruitive activities. One who is not firmly fixed in mind is diverted by various types of fruitive acts.
This is a very powerful purport by Srila Prabhupada. He's making some very strong and clear statements. And sometimes when we read it first, we have some reactions. But as you progress in devotional service, I can guarantee you'll think, wow, he was right all along. It may take us some time to see that. So we'll discuss this concept of being resolute in purpose. So Prabhupada opens, as he opens most of his purports with a very powerful statement. He says, a strong faith that by Krishna consciousness one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called vyavasayatmika, intelligence. So we say intelligence. What is the purpose of our intelligence? To know what is good and what is bad. And those who have good intelligence can achieve great things. Sometimes in bad motives, but still great things. So intelligence is a tool to achieve something. Okay? So, what is our ultimate goal in life? It's the highest perfection of life. That's what we're all looking for. What is the perfection of life? Right? That is what we're all searching for every day. Every living entity, man, woman, old, young, from all parts of the world, even the dogs and birds and ants and trees, everyone is searching for perfection of life. So Prabhupada says, a strong faith that by Krishna consciousness one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called vyavasayatmika, intelligence. So how do we achieve the highest perfection of life? How? 2 words. Krishna consciousness. But that requires faith. Is it true? Is it real? Right? So Prabhupada in the second paragraph defines faith. How does he define faith? unflinching trust in,
Something sublime.
which means
Some things are just not as clear, not as visual, maybe.
okay, so something I can't quite see or perceive. But it ultimately means that, and this is the definition we said, confidence, that if I perform a certain action, a desired result will come. Right? So faith, we talked about several weeks ago, it's an essential function of life. We cannot function without faith. None of us could even have simply climbed these steps to come into this apartment without faith that those steps were constructed properly. None of us would be willing to even sit in this apartment on the second floor without faith that will not fall onto the first floor. Walking down the street, that the tree will not topple on. Faith is in every step of life. But we said faith is not to be meant to take in blindly. It is not blind faith. So what two things help develop our faith? Two things. Krishna consciousness, but faith in Krishna consciousness comes from chanting. So I can say practice, doing it.
Bhakti.
Doing it gives us faith. The practice. Right? Just like the boy sitting at the edge of a pool. As soon as he begins to swim and swim and swim, his faith grows that he can swim. But until he practices it, the faith is limited. So practice. And what is the other thing? Will, desire. Yeah, we have to have some inclination. But what else can enhance our faith? Practice and
Strong
desire. But that child at the edge of the pool,
progress.
what does he want to know? He needs some guru, some knowledge. The body is made, it can float. It's also made up of 70% water. It has a buoyancy factor. If you move your arms and legs, you will float. So some knowledge also increases faith. So knowledge plus practice combines to bring about faith. Solidify and increase our faith. Right? Just knowledge alone won't bring us to the point of full faith. One says, I'm not going to start my devotional life until I have everything figured out. Full. Well, you won't. It's just like that child. The child will never have full faith in swimming until actually does it. So, similarly, in devotional life, by practice of Krishna consciousness, one experiences something profound that says, this seems to be working. There seems to be something here. And the knowledge one gets helps to solidify that faith, that experience. We understand the why, and it doesn't become just sentimental. Okay? So the two combine to bring about very strong faith. Because to say Krishna consciousness, one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life, what is the conclusion one should take if they're smart and they have faith in this statement? What should be the result if we have faith in this statement?
We should become Krishna conscious.
We should become Krishna conscious. How much so? Fully. What we can say even exclusively. If it's going to bring about the highest perfection of life, and I know absolutely it will, then the conclusion is one becomes exclusively focused on that. I know I exclusively abstain from eating arsenic. Why? Because I know even a small amount will kill me. It's not good for me. So I can exclusively, well, I'm speaking somewhat to illustrate the point. So Krishna is saying here, in this verse, that those who are on this path of what? Of bhakti. Remember, in the prior verse he's saying, bhakti has no loss or diminution. Technically speaking, buddhi yoga, but we're going to discuss bhakti as how Prabhupada has presented it. Those who are resolute on this path of devotional service, those are, they're resolute in purpose. What does resolute in purpose mean?
Determined.
They're determined. Determined means some obstacles come, I'm going to do it. And what propels their determination? Why they can remain determined?
Faith.
They have faith. Faith that the desired result will come. How we remain determined in school when we didn't want to study, we were feeling lazy, because we knew the end result was worth it. So the highest perfection of life achieved by Krishna consciousness, when one has faith, one becomes resolute in purpose, determined. And then, what happens?
You become Krishna conscious.
And how much so?
Exclusive.
Their aim is one. Exclusively. And what is the first question we have when we say, oh, if I become exclusively Krishna conscious, what is the first concern I have? Or many concerns we have.
What will happen to the family?
What will happen to the family, myself, society? All these questions, right? It's a good, logical question. So we have to acquire some knowledge. So now Krishna continues in this verse, O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute. What does irresolute mean?
Fully determined.
Not determined. They're many branched. What does many branched mean? Let's see. So anybody has ever felt like this? Every day? And somebody said every day? We're being pulled in so many different directions. Sometimes by external forces. Sometimes by our own mind. Is it true? Sometimes by external forces. Can you come do this? Can you do that? Those things. But our own mind makes us.
Positively we call them as responsible and responsible society.
Huh?
Positively we call them as responsibilities, right? So
Yeah.
I'm responsible for family, society and stuff.
Stay tuned. Yeah.
Positively they call this.
Yeah, absolutely. Meeting the many various responsibilities in life, right? Those are all very right.
They are pulling us.
But let us understand this. Until one comes to Krishna consciousness, this is our existence in some form or fashion. Because until one comes to Krishna consciousness, one's irresolute will be many branched. But when one comes to Krishna consciousness with faith, what else I could do that would give me better perfection of life? Nothing. So then what am I going to do every day? Krishna consciousness. Right? It's just like, you see these entrepreneurs in business, Steve Jobs. He was so much faith in the perfection of the personal computer that his whole existence was Apple computer. He had so much faith in that outcome. But he wasn't going to achieve perfection of life. But he also put some deposits into his bank account because he used to walk to the temple and take the Sunday feast. 7 miles he would walk every Sunday, there and back. But my point is that until we have that strong faith, we'll become, right? So we have this common question, right? This is a very, how to find balance. Just to your point a little bit, we have these different responsibilities, right? Family, career, health, friends. What about me, right? So why are we engaged in so many different activities? In a high level, Why are we engaged in so many activities, both good and bad? What inspires us to perform so many various activities?
The result.
The result. And what result do we want? Good. We want to achieve something good for us. We want to be happy. So we begin to pursue so many different things. So how do we decide how we allocate our time and resources? Based on ultimately what will make us happy, right? But the ultimate dilemma we face in this scenario is this. Or let me ask, what is the dilemma we face?
How to balance?
Why do we have to balance? Both of you said
One thing cannot give us 100%, so we believe that it contributes all 4, 5 or hundreds which is attached there, right? So which one is the correct one? We are not sure about whether one will give us a complete number.
we're not sure. Thank you. We're not sure. We're not resolute yet, right? We don't have this is it. So what we do, we keep searching. And how long that process continues? We think we're going to find it, but we'll never find it. And we see around us. If you examine the life of anyone who's gracefully aged into old age, their hobbies and interests and desires and passions and time spent is constantly changing, evolving. Right? Why? Because they haven't found that one thing that gives perfection. Because as soon as you find the thing that gives perfection,
You get bored.
that's it. Materially you get bored. But if you found something that you never got bored from, and that's it. That's your life. So, now, the challenge is here, if I give some time to one of these areas, it means I have to take out from some other. Why? Because you were going to say?
Limited time.
Limited time. I have to make trade-offs. So as soon as I try to enjoy my family life, I get some enjoyment. But there is a consequence of that. Maybe less time in my career. Maybe less time focusing on my health. Maybe I've abandoned my friends. I spend more time in my career. But then I cannot join the different activities my friends are going. Or my health is suffering. I spend all my time focusing on my health. And my family is left wondering when he's going to come home from the gym. Like this, any of us have experienced these types of dilemmas? I'll face them. This is material life. Because what's missing? So what is our ideal dream scenario?
One circle labeled Krishna.
Well, that's how. But what's the best hope we could get? The best outcome we could dream for?
Something that could balance it automatically.
Something that achieves everything perfectly. That's right? Whatever could help us achieve this perfectly. Imagine the mental state of mind of the whole world if everyone found the answer to this. How nice the place would be. How nice our interactions would be in the supermarket with our neighbors. If everyone was balanced, right? But it is due to imbalance that creates so much turmoil, right? So, how to find it? That is the key. So, Krishna tells us, and Prabhupada is quoting some verses here. So we have some inclination. You probably can guess where we're going. How are we going to find the highest perfection of life? Krishna consciousness. So we kind of know the answer. But what we have to do is work on now removing all the doubts. Right? Is it okay? Let's figure out how by serving Krishna I'm going to maintain my family. How by serving Krishna, I'm going to maintain my career. How by serving Krishna, I'm going to maintain my health and my friends. And along the way, obtain everything I want. Right? So this is what we have to answer in order to develop this vyavasayatmika intelligence. This fixed intelligence. Because when we do, think about the result. The result is single purpose, no more being pulled in multiple directions, determined, and full faith that we are in the process of achieving the highest perfection of life. How perfect is that? It is what everyone is aspiring for. It is what we all want. And Krishna is showing us exactly how to get it. So, what do we see here? A big tree. So many branches. So, in the scriptures we see that these branches represent all of the different facets of our life that we have to satisfy. It's similar to this. Right? We have family and career and friends, but even within that we have sub-branches and sub-sub-branches and sub-sub-sub-branches within just career, within family, immediate family, next kin of family, family I don't know but I'm supposed to know, friends, my high school friends, then my college friends, and my work friend. We categorize them. And health, mental health, physical health, my beauty, we have so many. So, when we see a tree like this, how is it that we can nourish every branch of the tree? You water to the root. But if you water over here, will anything really manifest? No. What do you have to do? You have to find the root cause of the tree. The root cause of the tree. You have to find the root cause. And then you pour your water there. And what happens?
It will spread to all the branches.
It will spread to all the branches. Now, if you spend your day trying to water each and every individual branch, think about the complexities of that. Not only the elevation issues, you'll think how much water to put, how much water I have, divided by how many branches, what if I run out? Hare Krishna. It would be mind-numbing. So if I know with knowledge, wait a minute, nourishing this tree is not by... So it's so obvious to us we water the root. But that came with knowledge. Knowledge has to tell us we have to water the root. So scriptures tell us repeatedly, by dovetailing our life with the root cause of all things, one finds perfection of life. So two things we need to know. One, who is the root cause of everything? And what is the watering process? Right? I don't go and just offer water to the root. What is the watering process? So in the scriptures, Lord Brahma says in the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Anadir Adir. The source of all sources. That is Govinda. Who is Govinda? Sarva Karana Karanam. Of all the causes, who is the cause? The ultimate cause. What does it mean, cause of all causes? We say this, but what does it mean?
The root.
The root?
Everything emanates from Krishna.
everything begins with Krishna and also ends with Krishna. So by some basic logic, we can understand dovetailing my life in loving relationship with He who is the cause of everything will bring about perfection. If there are certain guarantees that Krishna gives, right? Krishna must assure us, just like the root, the tree guarantees that by watering the root, all the branches are nourished. That is how the tree is made, correct? So in order to dovetail our life in service of Krishna, we must have one assurance. And what is that assurance?
All desire will be fulfilled.
All our desires will be fulfilled.
Perfect result.
We'll get a perfect result. Everything I need will be fulfilled. Nothing will be left behind. We need that assurance, and we also need to also experience it. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is constantly, not once, twice, thrice, constantly throughout Bhagavad Gita, assuring, by your surrender to me, I'll take care of everything. At the end he says, Sarva dharman prityaja mam ekam. He's saying, give up all your other dharma, these branches, give them all up. Mam ekam, just come to the root, me. And I will take care of everything. Ma suchaha, do not fear. He says at the end of the 5th chapter, Bhoktaram yagnatapasam sarva loka maheshwaram surdam sarva bhutana nyakva mam shantim lichiti. How to find shantim, peace? You must know 3 things. First, Bhoktaram yagnatapasam. I am the root. I am the ultimate beneficiary of everything. I am the source of everything. Sarva loka maheshwaram. All the demigods, all the planets, everything. It is emanating from me. And this is the most important of the 3. Anyone know Surdam Sarva Bhutanam?
I am your best well-wisher.
I am your best well-wisher. Up until coming to Krishna Kama, who is our best well-wisher? Our mother. Right? Our mother is our best well-wisher. But Krishna is saying he is even more well-wishing upon us than even our own mother. Our mother's love for us is extreme and almost unlimited, but not. It has limits. It can be broken. It is limited in what mother can do to protect. Resources available to protect are also limited. But what is Krishna's ability to protect, to provide? He's unlimited. So he's all loving. He's not the well-wisher of some and not others. He's the well-wisher of everyone. In the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj. And Dhruva Maharaj is a 5-year-old boy. And he has been told he cannot sit on his father's lap. He becomes angry, feisty, desires, something quite ridiculous in our estimation. Goes to his mother. Mother says, how I can get? She says, go to Krishna, devotional service. Where is Krishna? In the forest. Okay, bye. Now, mother, 5-year-old child. Every single need, everything of a 5-year-old child is provided by mother. Food, where to sleep, when to sleep, what to wear, bathing, everything is done by mother. But she had so much confidence and faith. She actually says that you go to the forest where there are all kinds of lions and animals and unknowns and who knows who you'll meet, what will happen. But she said, the love of Krishna for you is many, 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 many more times than even my own love. What I can provide you is a tiny fraction of what Krishna can provide to you. She had faith in this statement. Surdam sarva bhutanam. In the 9th chapter, Krishna says, I preserve what you have. Whatever we have, I will preserve that. And, what he says? This is most interesting. When Krishna says, I preserve what you have, what's missing?
I'll give you what you lack.
Whatever you don't have, what about that? And he says, I carry what you lack. And he doesn't say, I'll arrange for you. He says, I carry. He is personally providing everything one needs. In the 12th chapter, he says, I alone am your swift deliverer. It means he's personally going to come and deliver. So the knowledge of Krishna being the root is there. The knowledge of Krishna by being the root is going to provide everything we need is also there. The assurance is not just from one angle, it is from all angles. The proof, the examples in history, ancient history and modern recent history are all there. So the knowledge piece we can build. But what do we need in addition to some knowledge? Our own practice. So our own practice in devotional life will come to bring about this realization. Yes, Krishna truly is the root of the tree. Krishna consciousness truly will and is bringing about perfection in all aspects of my life. Yes, Krishna truly is. And the beauty of Krishna consciousness is this. This is the ultimate compassion the Lord has. He doesn't expect us to have full faith in this in the beginning. He doesn't say, hey, if you want to serve me, you must start exclusively serving me. He doesn't say first you study, first you become fixed, then you can start Krishna consciousness. Instead, what does he say? Just start. If you are 1% convinced, start with 1%. No problem. Just start. Even if you're a 0% convinced, but someone is telling you to start and you think, I might as well give it a shot, even that's okay. Just start. And what happens when we start? By the practice of devotional service, we begin to see actually how Krishna is watering the roots, watering the branches of all of our needs. We'll see it. Just like when we pour water into the root of the tree, we're not absolutely certain it is going everywhere. But we see it after some time by the fact that the leaves are remaining green, the fruits are coming nice. There is a result. And we say, yes, the person who told me the root waters everything, it is true. So similarly in devotional life, it is an absolute fact. It is undebatable, it is undeniable, and it is the only fact. The highest perfection of life comes from our Krishna consciousness. Now how we will experience that as a fact with strong faith in our own consciousness is by practice. Each step we take, we'll begin to see how by my devotional life, yes, Krishna is taking care of my family, my job, my relationships, myself. Everything is becoming in line. So, a Krishna conscious person becomes so determined because they know nothing else is going to give a higher perfection. If nothing else will give a higher perfection, what else can occupy my time? And that is why they become fixed in one, and their determination is driven by their faith that this is actually going to happen. So when some obstacles come, some challenges arise, one remains determined. So this is this vyavasayatmika buddhi. That, Prabhupada says, a strong faith that by Krishna consciousness one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life. That is called vyavasayatmika intelligence. And Vishnava Chakravarti Thakur, a great acharya, he comments on this verse, and Prabhupada provides in the purport how to understand this process. It must come from Guru. So he says that fixed determination in the instruction of the Guru is the best of all intelligence. Intelligence about how to manipulate some silicon to create a powerful computer, intelligence about how to make a spaceship go into the sky, or intelligence about how to perform some miraculous surgery. It's good intelligence. But the ultimate and highest of all intelligence is to be fixed in the instructions of the spiritual master. And why? Because Vishnava Chakravarti knows, Thakur knows, that the instruction of the Guru is to bring one to Krishna consciousness. And Krishna consciousness will bring about the highest perfection of life. So this is this resolute purpose. So when Prabhupada says that the highest perfection is renunciation of the material conception of life, we think, oh boy. Oh boy, now what? This is too much. That's the end goal. And we'll take our steps there by experience, by more knowledge and increasing faith. Soon one will see. And why the Guru is so important? Because one needs to know how to water that root. How to render devotional service. Because you can take this consciousness to an incorrect conclusion. Oh, I should become resolute in Krishna consciousness. I'm just going to go to the temple and render devotional service, and I'm not going to put food on a table and feed my children. He said resolute purpose is one. But that is not the correct application of this process. Arjuna wanted to renounce his duties. And Krishna said, no, you take care of your career. So how to manage our family life, our career, our friends, our responsibilities in society with Krishna consciousness in the center, how to do that comes in the practical instructions and applications. So the logic and theory is presented here, and now we must inquire how to practically do this. So does becoming fixed in devotional service mean I won't go to the office anymore? No. Many devotees around the world, fully fixed in Krishna consciousness, are driving extraordinarily successful careers. Oh, wait a minute, doesn't that mean they have a material conception of life? No. Anashaktasya visharanyatadam upayanjate nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagya uchate. This renunciation of material conception Prabhupada is talking about means my career is no longer for trying to satisfy my material senses. It is to satisfy Krishna. Devotees, full fixed and resolute, have very glorious family life. Relationships with their spouses, children, extended family, very deep, loving relationships. It is not one of abandonment. But Krishna does not say abandon your career, abandon your family, abandon your friends. No. He says, bring it all along in your devotional life. So, this is this verse on vyavasayatmika buddhi, how to become resolute. Because when we do, we give up this being torn and pulled and experiencing so much anxiety and stress about how to balance all of these things. When we come to understand, it is all nourished by coming to the root of the tree. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the beginning of the Nectar of Devotion that society is missing the key formula of where to repose its love. Everyone has this desire to be loved and to love. But what we are missing is whom and where to love. And when we begin to understand and awaken our love with Krishna, everything else becomes harmonious. Because remember, watering the root doesn't mean ignoring the branches. Our devotional service does not mean ignoring our family, our career. No, it is what will nourish him. And actually the only thing that will achieve perfection in all these other facets of our life. It will only come in devotional service. That is a fact. Our steps to realizing with full faith that fact will come in our devotional service. The more we practice, the more this will become extraordinarily clear to us. So these are two fairly strong sessions in a row. Any comments or questions? Yes.
In this verse, Prabhu, what does it mean by expecting a desired result by applying Krishna consciousness compared to what Lord says, do your duty, don't expect any result?
Which one are you reading, just so I can...
I think we just talked about by applying Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
Many people expect some result.
Yeah.
Compared to what Lord says that do your duty but don't expect any result.
Do your duty and don't expect the result is a preliminary stage towards bhakti. Right? That is on the Karma Yoga platform. That's what he'll speak on the 3rd chapter. But ultimately, our goal is to do our duty in Krishna consciousness. That is bhakti. So we have material duties and we have spiritual duties. And by performing our spiritual duties, all of our material duties become also satisfied. And that is why it's said that this renunciation of material conception of life, how it happens automatically, Prabhupada says, automatically achieved by progressive Krishna consciousness. As we become more and more Krishna conscious, naturally all these other things leave us. So, when Krishna says, do your duty detached from the result, ultimately he's going to say, do your devotional service. Both require detachment from the result. Now, our initial motive in bhakti also is to find this perfection of life. Right? That is a desired fruit. But as one progresses in devotional life, also that desire will dissipate. And the whole conundrum is, the less we desire to enjoy, even with Krishna, the more we actually enjoy. Because that intensifies the purity of our love.
So it's a progression.
It's a progressive state. But Krishna says, don't take to the progressive steps. Go straight to bhakti. Well, what if I'm not qualified to do bhakti? Patram pushpam phalam toyam. What is the qualification? Just offer me a leaf, a fruit, a flower, or water. Yo me bhaktiya prayachati. Just with love and devotion. That is your only qualification to do bhakti. Nobody is disqualified. There's no, I must purify to be able to do bhakti. No. Bhakti is the purifying process and the end result. It is both. Anyone can come immediately to the platform. And that is why Krishna is going to say, Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam. He said, give up everything. Otherwise he would say, okay, you work towards progressive stages till you can reach bhakti. That's not what he said. He said, give it all up. and just do bhakti. Manmana bhava bhakto majiji mam namaskuru. Do these 4 things. That is devotional service. Think of me, become my devotee, offer your homages to me, offer your obeisances to me. Do these 4 things from the beginning, no matter where you are in your state. And if you cannot do 100%, if your purpose cannot, do 1%, then 2%, then 3%. And by the experience and result, soon it will become 100%. And trust me, no branch will ever go dry in the path of Krishna consciousness. No branch. Any comments, questions?
Yeah, maybe it's a little specific. And, many times it happens with me that if I'm hankering for something and then I see that Krishna fulfills it, as soon as it's fulfilled, my mind like starts wandering and like getting like loosening in my devotional service. So I know over the years and like using the higher intelligence and realizing that it's just temporary happiness, I should continue it. But are there like any practical things that one can do, or any maybe a story or something that you would like to share?
Yeah. Krishna ultimately, remember, will give us what is good for us in our devotional life. Just like mother and father will give ice cream when it's good for the child, not when child asks for it. Because child will ask for it all the time. So when we go to Krishna and we ask him for something in our devotional life, sometimes he may give. Why? When it's good for a bhakti. And sometimes when he gives, that increases our faith. But he also will not give because he knows that our material desires will make us, again, multi-branch, spiritual, material. Our greed and lust for those material hankerings will dilute our bhakti. It's compared to our material desires while we're practicing devotional service. It's like trying to light a fire while I'm pouring water on it. I'm lighting a fire, but at the same time, I am pouring water. So, Krishna sometimes will stop even fulfilling those desires as a benediction, a blessing to us. So much so, Prahlad Maharaj, after the slaying of Hiranyakashipu, Nrsingadev was so pleased. He said, "You ask a boon." Prahlad Maharaj said, "I don't want a boon." He said, "No, you ask a boon." "I'm okay. I'm happy." He said, "You ask a boon." He said, "I ask for the boon that I never be tempted to ask for a boon." Because that will take me away from the highest perfection of meditating on your holy names. That was the boon he asked for. And then he asked for a boon to forgive his father. But he said, "I want a boon that I'll be never tempted to ask even for a boon." So we know this temptation is there. It's natural. So, but no, when Krishna doesn't fulfill it, it is for the best in us. And that is how someone in Krishna consciousness, they don't experience ups and downs. Prabhupada says, there is no good and bad in devotional life. Everything is absolute, meaning it's perfect. It's not no good or ups and downs means we have no emotion. No, it is constant bliss. Because when it doesn't come, thank you, Krishna. I asked for that, but it must have been bad for me. Thank you. Happiness. When it comes, oh Krishna, you're too kind. So our consciousness becomes, Krishna knows better than I do. Just like we know, as a child we have full faith. Yes, my parents were actually right. Is it not? We used to think, oh, when I grow up, I'm not going to be like them. And And what have we become? If we're lucky, some percentage of them. Meaning they were right, but we didn't think it then. Similarly, Krishna's right, and someday we'll remember and see, oh yeah, Krishna was right. And so have faith. He'll only do what's best for you when your desire is devotional service. It's okay? Any other questions? Okay. So let's practice our devotional service by the chanting of the holy names. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.